In the last session, we have seen doubts clarifications. In the last session, we have seen doubts clarifications, right? I hope all of you able to develop the applications. I hope all of you able to develop the applications now. Good. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. In the previous session, we developed one application by using multiple controller classes. In multiple controllers, we are taking multiple methods. When we are taking the methods, method URLs should be unique. A method should be able to identify uniquely. The URL pattern should be unique for the methods. Otherwise, we will get URL collision. Okay, so today we are going to see how to send the data, from controller to UI in the form of objects. All right, now how to send the data from controller to UI. We can send the data from controller to UI in three ways. Okay, see here, sending data from controller to UI. Sending data from controller to UI. We can send the data from controller to UI. We can send data from controller to UI in multiple ways. We can send data from controller to UI in multiple ways. Okay guys, so what are those? First one is using model and view. Second one is using model. Third one is response body. So there are multiple ways available in order to send the data from controller to UI. So we are developing a web application. User will be sending a request to our application. We need to send the data from our application to the user using these approaches: model and view object, model object, and response body. So let's see here, how can we send that data? Now let me create another application, file new, Spring Starter project. So I'm going to create my 24th application, WebMVC, controller to UI, data, sending data from controller to UI. Web application 3. Guys, here I'm selecting packaging type as a var. If we select packaging type as a var, then only we are going to get web app folder. Okay, if you select as a jar, web app folder will not come for you. You need to select it as a var. Click on next. Web dependency, dev tools, Lombok. So this time I'm selecting one additional dependency called Lombok dependency. Okay guys, Lombok web dev tools. Next and finish. Next and finish. All right, so here project got created. As we discussed earlier, we need to have Tomcat embed Jasper. We need to have Tomcat embed Jasper dependency. Copy this from previous project. Then go to current project pom.xml. Add this dependency. Done. Okay, let me right click, close unrelated projects. So all the remaining projects will be closed. Only this project will be open. It is done, right? Next, let us create a controller. New class controller. Okay, so we already created several times welcome controller, which will give welcome message. Now see here, I'm writing a method public model and view. Public model and view. Here I'm going to write a method called welcome message. welcome message. We are creating object in the form of model and view. Model and view object we are creating. Model and view object we are creating. 1 second. Model and view MAV is equal to new model and view. Okay, model and view dot set add object key comma value. Key is a message. Key is a message. I'm saying welcome to AhokIT. Okay, then model and view dot set view name. I'm going to set the view name as welcome. Set the view name as welcome. Return MAV. So this is one of the approach we are following to send the data from controller to UI. This is one of the approach we are following to send the data from controller to UI. How to represent this class as a controller? By using @controller annotation. How to bind this method to a request? By using get mapping. By using get mapping /welcome. /welcome. Okay, I have written one controller class. In the controller class, we have a method. That method is binded to get request /welcome URL pattern. When we send a request to this URL, this method is going to create a model and view object, adding the data to the model and view in the form of key and value. Then I'm setting my view name. Are you guys clear with this? Now let us create welcome file. Welcome is the name I am returning, right? View name can be anything. Okay, now src main web app. Inside the web app, I am creating one folder. You can give any name for the folder. I'm giving as a pages. Right click on the pages, new, other, go for JSP. Select the file name as JSP. Next, welcome is the name, JSP. Inside this, I'm going to access that message by using $message. By using $message, I'm accessing this. So this is welcome controller. Similarly, let me go for greet controller. Guys, observe there will be a difference in the greet controller. I'm writing a method @controller get greet message public string get greet message okay, string message is equal to good morning. String message is equal to good morning. Return message. String message is equal to good morning. Return greet. I'm going to write this @get mapping of /greet. Look at this. Observe the difference between our previous method and this method. In the previous method, the method return type is model and view. In the previous method, the method return type is model and view object. Got my point? In the current method return type is string. Right now, when we have a string, we can take model object as a parameter to send the data. Model dot add attribute key comma value. So what is the key? Key I can give as a message. Value I can give it as a message text, whatever you want to send. Message text. This is also used to send the data from controller to UI. Instead of taking model and view object as a parameter, we can take string also as a parameter. So when we take string object as a parameter, model we are going to take as a method parameter to send the data from controller to UI. So this is approach one. This is approach one, and this is approach two. This is approach one, and this is approach two to send the data from controller to UI. Guys, observe, I have a method which is binded to /welcome. So what is the difference in these both methods? In the first method, I'm taking model and view object as a parameter. I'm adding the data in the form of key value. I'm setting the view name. I'm returning that model and view object. So it is used to send the model and view to the dispatcher servlet. In the second approach, I am taking method return type as a string. I'm taking method return type as a string. Method parameter I'm taking as a model. To the model, I am setting the data, and view name I am returning. Anything is fine. But nowadays, people are preferring this approach. Nowadays, people are preferring this approach to develop our applications. People are preferring this approach to develop our applications. Are you clear with my point? Are you clear with my point? Now let me create a greet page. Greet, whatever I am returning, the return type is the view name. Model data, I'm taking model as a parameter. Model is a map. Model is a map in the Spring, right? It is used to hold the attributes in the form of key and value. Model.add attribute. Greet page. Let's go here. Let us create new others JSP file greet.jsp finish. So here what will be there? H1 $of message. Okay, so I'm getting this data. Clear? Now there will be one more type of controller. Next, let me take welcome controller completed, wish controller. In the wish controller also, I'm taking one method @controller. Here I'm going to write public string get wish message. String message is equal to all the best. Now here directly I am returning the message. Directly I'm going to return the message get mapping here /wish. So this is another approach. Now previously our welcome controller is returning view name. Greet controller is returning view name, but wish controller returning directly message. So there is no view file. Whenever a request comes, directly I want to send the response. I don't want any JSP as a presentation technology. Whenever a request comes to my controller method, I want to send the response directly. For that, we will use @response body annotation. So if you want to develop your application with the presentation logic, then you need to return the view names. In my application, I don't want to develop a presentation logic. My application will directly execute like a REST controller. Whenever a request comes, I will give the response directly. Then we can go for this approach. This is the third approach that we are going to follow to develop our controller methods. This is the third approach that we are going to follow to develop our controller method. So what is going to happen in this approach? There is no presentation files. There is no presentation files. This method is directly sending a response. This method is directly sending a response by using which response body annotation. So if you see the previous two methods, in the previous two methods, we are returning a view file, but in this method, directly we are returning a message. Directly we are returning a message, returning view name, setting view name, setting view name. Okay, guys, here returning view name, returning view name, returning direct response, returning direct response. Whenever we go for REST controllers, or whenever you go for Angular UI, React.js UI, then our project will not contain the web pages. Our project will contain only logic, right? So when you want to develop the UI within the Spring Boot application, then we will develop the UI pages by using JSP or TimeLeaf. So when you want to develop the UI by using, whenever you want to develop the UI by using Angular or React, then your controller method should return the response to the UI application directly. So you understand when to return view name from our projects, when to return direct response from our projects. Okay, guys, when to return view name from our projects, when to return view name from our projects, when to return view name from our projects. Okay, when to return response directly from our projects. Guys, can you tell me when to return view name from our projects and when to return view name from our projects and when to return direct response from our projects? Come on, guys. When to return view name from our projects and when to return direct response from our projects? Come on. When to return view name from our projects, when to return direct response from our projects? Tell me. Tell me. If you want to develop your application along with the presentation logic, then we will return the view pages. View will be available. I don't want to develop the view within my application. I want to develop a B2B application. When our application doesn't contain presentation logic, business to business communication, REST APIs, REST APIs. So when we want to develop a REST API, we are going to return the response directly by using response body. Are you clear with my point? Now, for this approach 3, view resolver will not be available. Approach 3. For approach 3, do we need view resolver or we don't need view resolver for approach 3? Do I need a view resolver or I don't need a view resolver for approach 3? Come on, guys. Do I need a view resolver for approach 3 or I don't need a view resolver for approach 3? We don't need. Why? Because there is no view file. Directly we are returning the response. Directly we are returning the response. In future, we are going to develop the RESTful services, right? Earlier, we used to follow controller plus response body annotations to develop the REST API. Controller plus response body is equal to REST controller. It will become a REST controller. REST controller nothing but controller plus response body. Instead of giving REST controller annotation, earlier they used to give controller plus response body. Then it will become a distributed method. It will give the response directly. It will give the response directly. No need of any presentation. No need of any presentation. So with this, are you able to understand How many ways we are going to send the response from our controller methods? How many ways we are going to send the response from our controller methods? I have given three approaches here. Approach one, we can take the return type as a model and view object. We can take the return type as a model and view object. So data as well as view name we are taking here, model and view object. Here I'm taking just a string as a return type. The data I am setting to the parameter object, model object. Here I am taking response body. So when I take a response body, that means direct response I am giving to the UI. There is no presentation in my project. There is no JSP, there is no time leaf. I am developing only API. That means whenever a request comes, my method will give the direct response. So the direct response will be given to the request. Whatever the request we get, directly I'm giving the response to that request. So that can be from Angular application, that can be from React application, that can be from browser, whatever they want. So whenever you are going for distributed applications, we are going to use response body. That means directly data I'm going to send as a response, whether it can be a message, it can be a user data, it can be a employee data, it can be a product data. Whatever the data we want to send, that data I am sending directly. So our complete RESTful services course is dependent on this part only. Controller plus response body is equal to REST controller. So when you want to develop a REST API, we are going to use that response body. Okay, nowadays in the industry, what people are doing with the Spring Boot? People are using Spring Boot to develop the web applications. People are using Spring Boot to develop the microservices in the real time. People are using Spring Boot to develop the web application. People are using Spring Boot to develop the microservices. Microservices means REST APIs. So presentation logic will be available in the JSP, or presentation logic will be available in the Angular or React. Presentation logic will be available in the JSP time leaf or Angular or React. Angular and React. So backend application will be available in the Spring Boot as a REST API. Front-end application will be available as a Angular or React. Understood my point? So which approach is using in the industry nowadays? Approach 1, approach 2, or approach 3? Which approach they are using in the industry? Third approach. So if I teach JSP time leaf, that means I am wasting your time, I am wasting my time. Nobody will use that JSP time leaf in the real time. Nowadays, JSP already dead in the market. In nowadays, no project is using JSP. Recently, the new projects which are started, no project is using JSP or time leaf to develop the front end. Front end development is separated from the projects by using Angular or React. Now tell me, do we need to spend much time for JSP and time leaf? Do we need to spend much time for JSP and time leaves? No need. It's waste of time. It's outdated content. Okay. But as part of the syllabus, I will cover some concepts related to JSP and time leaf. I'm not going to ignore, because some legacy projects may use JSP and time leaf. But in the interview, they don't focus much on the JSP and the time leaf, because industry people already knows that they are not getting used in the recent projects. Clear? Chalo. Now I have created 3 controllers today. One is welcome controller /welcome. Second one is greet controller /greet. Third one is wish controller /wish. Welcome controller is having the UI page. Welcome controller is having the UI page. Greet controller also having the UI page, but wish controller don't have the UI page. Whatever the response is returning from wish controller method, it will go to the browser directly. Okay. controller plus response body is equal to REST controller. Tomorrow, when we are developing the REST APIs, instead of giving controller annotation, response body annotation, what we will do? Directly we will give REST controller. If I give response body at the method level, it is applicable for only one method. It is applicable for only one method. If I give the response body annotation at the class level, if I give response body annotation at the class level, then what will happen? This will be applicable for all the methods of the class. So instead of writing two annotations, what I can do in the future, instead of writing two annotations here, what I can write? I am going to write one annotation called REST controller. That's it. Then REST controller means it is the combination of controller plus response body. You see here, a convenience annotation that itself is annotated with the controller and response body. See here, REST controller. Now, can you see response body and controller combination is available for REST controller? Can you believe my statement now? Response body plus controller is equal to REST controller. So do we need to write the two annotations separately, or one annotation is sufficient, that is at the rate REST controller? Check it, guys. One is sufficient. So is this statement true now? REST controller is equal to controller plus response body? Yes. If you write a controller, then if you want to return the direct response, then again you need to write the response body. Again, you need to write the response body. Response body, if you write at the method level, this will be applicable for only particular method. This will be applicable for only particular method. Okay. If you want to represent with all the methods, then you need to give that to class. Instead of writing at the class level and method level, you can use at the rate REST controller. Sir, can I use the combination? Can I use the combination controller with response body method, without response body method? Combination also we can use. When we will use the combination? Let us see. Let us see. When we go for our web application, within the web application, if you go for register, if you go for register, let me give a mail ID which is already available. Try to submit. What it is saying? This is a UI. I'm getting the response. Email is already registered. I'm getting a response. Email is already registered. Email is already registered. Okay, submit now. When I submit, UI page is available, but what it is saying that this email is already registered. So controller is returning direct response. So when you want to validate unique emails, unique mobile numbers, then also our controller will return direct response. When I submit the registration page, complete response I should get. But when I submit the page with incorrect data, duplicated data, am I getting the complete page reloading? I'm just getting a message dynamically. This email is already registered. I'm just getting this message. That means controller plus response body. So sometimes we need to send the UI page as a response. Sometimes we need to send only response dynamically. So if you want to, for a request, if you want to send a web page, then you can go for modal and view or modal. For few requests, we don't want to send the UI. We want to send only message directly. Only data we need to send as a response for few requests. From the controller, when we want to send only data, then we are going to use response body. Are you clear when to go for response body in the web application? Are you clear when to go for response body in the web application? Yes, very good. Good. Now let me configure view resolver. Spring.mvc.view.prefix is equal to /pages/ spring.mvc.view.suffix is equal to .jsp. Okay. Port number, I'm not going to configure, it is 8080. Context path also, I'm not going to configure, it is a / by default. Okay. Now let's update our Maven project. Force update. Updating this Maven project. Right click, run as boot application. My application is running. Application started. You can see what is the port number. Port number is 8080, default port number. Context path is empty. Context path is empty. Okay, good, good. Now let's try to access our application. Localhost colon 8080. There is nothing. Why I am getting white label error when I give localhost 8080? In our project, is there any method binded to /URL pattern? In our project, is there any method which is binded to /URL pattern? No. For every method, there is a URL pattern. There is no method binded to default URL pattern, that is a /URL pattern. That's why I'm getting this error. Okay, let's go for /welcome. Let's go for /welcome. Am I able to get welcome to AhokIT? Am I able to get welcome to AhokIT? So this is a direct response, or this response is coming through web page. When I give /welcome, is the direct message coming to the browser, or it is coming with a web page? What is there in the /welcome? Returning the view name called welcome. It is coming through web page. Now, how to differentiate that? Let's go for web app, welcome.jsp. Okay, I can say that this is welcome page. This is welcome page. Now, when we go for greet application in this JSP, I'm going to write that this is greet page. This is greet page. Controller sending just message welcome to AhokIT. Controller sending message just good morning. But see here, what happened? This is welcome page. This is welcome to AhokIT. This is the response I'm getting from the controller. This is the data available in the JSP page. Now let's go for localhost colon 8080/greet. This is a greet page. I'm getting good morning. Now let's go for /wish. Let's go for /wish. Localhost colon 8080/wish. See how quick it is. When you compare these pages, this response is very quick, right? The reason, there is no presentation, directly response. We are getting all the best. Okay, now see, welcome getting the response, greet getting the response, wish getting the response. But three methods are implemented in three different ways. Approach 1, approach 2, approach 3. Approach 1, approach 2, both are same, just syntactical differences, that's it. But approach 3 is different. In approach 3, there is no presentation, directly returning the response as a response body. So whenever we make a request, we are getting the direct response. There is no presentation. So in the web applications, we need to use response body sometimes when we want to. Simple example, I want to show you one more thing. See here, in our website, there is another functionality, drop down functionality is available. If you go for this mock interviews concept, now here currently, what is the fee amount it is displaying here, guys? Is there any fee amount displaying here? No, fee is nothing. If you select experience, then fee is coming. If you change the experience, fee is changing. If you change the experience, fee is changing. That means when you change a drop down, we are getting the response to populate the another drop down. When we change the drop down, we are getting another drop down, dependent drop down. When you want to implement dependent drop down, we are going to use response body. Okay, guys. First time when I click on mock interviews, one web page is loading. That is fine. UI is available. After loading this web page, when I select experience drop down, I'm getting fee as a dynamic response. When I select the drop down, I just want to get only response. When I select the drop down, I just want to get the response. So for that, we are going for response body. You understand where we are going to use response body. When you want to get only response for few requests, then we are going to use response body annotation. Are you guys comfortable? In three approaches are developing. In three approaches of developing, are you guys are you guys able to understand in developing? Got it. Look at this code. Look at this code. Clear for everybody? Why we are going for response body? Why we are going for response body? Can you tell me? Why we are going for response body? Can you guys tell me? No presentation. I want to return the response directly. When we are implementing duplicate email checks, duplicate mobile number checks, when we are implementing dependent drop down, in that scenario, we need to send the direct response. To send the direct response, we are using response body. Okay, guys. B2B communications, we will use response body. Okay, chalo. Now, let me create one class called book class. New class book in dot AhokIT dot bindings. Bindings nothing but a class which is used to bind the data. I'm taking book class. Let's take few variables. Integer book ID, string book name, double book price. So let me write at the rate data. Let me write at the rate data. No args constructor, all args constructor. I'm using Lombok. At the rate data, no args constructor, all args constructor. I'm taking three variables. Okay, let me create one class with a name called book controller. Let me create a class with a name called book controller. Now, here I'm writing a method at the rate controller. At the rate controller, I'm going to write one method public string get book data. So I'm going to take it as a model. I want to display the book data. I want to display the book data in UI page. I want to display the book data in the UI page. Okay. Now here I'm going to say that return book JSP name. Return JSP name. So let me do book object. Book object is equal to new book. I'm creating one book object using parameter constructor ID 101, name is spring, and price is $450. Okay. Now model dot add attribute key is book, value is book object. Clear? Earlier we sent just a message. Now I am sending one object to the UI using model. Are you guys clear? Are you guys clear with this? Public string get book data. I'm using model object as a parameter. Then I'm using book object. I'm using book object. Okay. I'm using book object, setting the data. Book object I'm adding to model attribute and I'm returning book. I'm returning book. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Public string get book data. Book object is equal to new book 101 model dot add attribute of book and I'm returning book. This is key. This is presentation file name. Setting the data to binding object. Setting data to binding object. So here adding data to model object to send to UI, returning view name. So it is approach 1, approach 2 or approach 3. Approach 1, approach 2 or approach 3, approach 2. So UI is available or UI is not available? UI is available or UI is not available? UI is available. What is the name of the UI file? Book. What is the key name? Book. What is the URL pattern? Book. Okay guys, fine. Let's recreate view UI. So key is book. What is the value? What is the value I am sending? What is the value I am sending? Book object. Object is empty object or object is having data? Object is a empty object. Object is having data. Object is having data. How to access that data in the presentation? Let us create a file, new other JSP file, book.jsp. Book.jsp. So here I'm going to specify book data. I'm going to specify book data. Here I'm going to keep it as book ID $of key dot property. $of key dot property. Book is the key. Book ID is the property of that object to get that value. Similarly, book name, book price. Book name, book dot book name, book dot book price. See here how I am trying to access book data, book object data. My controller is sending object as a value. Key is a book, value is a book object. How I am accessing this key? I am using book.book ID, book.book name, book.book price. Book.book price. Okay. These are the variable names. Those variable names should match with your binding class variables. It is something like book.book ID means book.getBook ID. So this variable name should match, then only you can get the data binding. So there is a binding between our UI page and our class. Then only it is going to give you the data. Observe carefully. I'm sending one object to the UI. I'm sending one object to the UI. So get book data / book is the URL pattern I'm using. I'm setting the data to the object using parameterized constructor. I'm adding the book object to the model as a key value. Key is the book. Key can be anything. Key can be anything. Okay. Value is my book object. Okay. Here returning the view name. This is my view page. Now, how to access this data in the UI? Key already available. Key dot property name, object property to get the data. Book ID having some value, book name property having some value, book price property having some value. So I want to access this data. Is it clear for everybody? Okay, now let's run this application. Let's run this application. Run as boot app. Run as boot app. Application started. Application started. Slash welcome. A welcome page is coming. If you go for localhost colon 8080 slash wish message is coming. If you go for localhost colon 8080 greet page is coming. Greet page is coming. If I go for localhost colon 8080 slash book, am I able to get the book data? Are we able to access object data in the UI? Are we able to access object data in the UI page? Come on. Are we able to access object data in the UI page? Yes. How I accessed object data in the UI page? See, book controller class. Book controller class. I'm taking one object. Java is a object-oriented programming language. Everything will be represented in the form of object format. Everything will be represented in the form of object format. So now I am having a data in the object. That object I am sending to the UI. That object I am sending to the UI. Sorry, here label name is incorrect, sir. Book price. Label name is incorrect. Book price, book ID, book name, book price. Okay, here I am having a book controller. In the book controller, I am storing the data in the book object. Book object I am sending to the UI using model attribute, and I am returning book as a view. In that view, I am accessing that book object data using key and property name. Key and property name. For example, if I give something like this, if I give something like this, book dot price, can I access this? Do we have a property called price in our book class? Do we have a property called price? Let's see what will happen. Failed. Exception. Why? Property not found in the binding class. That is not available in our binding class. So that's why we are getting property price not found on the type bindings.book. So whenever you are accessing the data, we need to give our object property name. That means object variable name should be matched with this. Then only we can get that data. Then only we can get that data. Got it, guys? So what will happen whenever you access it? It is going to call getter method. Variable is a private variables we are not accessing directly. Whenever we use book.getPrice, internally it will call getter method of the price variable to get the data. Already I am using @data, so getter method will be generated. Setter method, getter method will be generated. Here it is going to call the getter method to get the data of that variable. Every variable will have a setter and getter. It is going to call the getter method to get that data. Understood my point? So I have given a welcome controller. We developed a welcome controller, approach 1, and we developed greet controller. Greet controller. This is our approach 2. Approach 2. We developed wish controller. This is approach 3. This is approach 3. And we developed an object by using book controller. We developed it by using book controller. Okay. This is approach 1. This is approach 1. This is approach 2. And this is approach 3. No UI pages. Approach 3. No UI. Direct response. Direct response. Sending. Here I am doing. Here sending object data from controller to UI. I'm sending object data from controller to UI. For that, first I have created a book class. First I have created a book class as a binding. Then I have a controller. Then I have a JSP. In that JSP, we are accessing that data. HTML page available. In that HTML page, we are accessing the data. Are you clear what we developed today? Sending the data from controller to UI. We can send the data from controller to UI in multiple ways. Approach 1. Approach 1. So in the approach 1, what we are using? In the approach 1, what we are using? In the approach 1, we are using model and view object. In the approach 1, we are using model and view object. In approach 2, what we are using? In approach 2, we are using directly model object. In approach 2, we are using directly model object. In approach 3, what we are using? Response body. In approach 3, response body. Okay. Now sending object data from controller to UI. Sending object data from controller to UI. So this is a binding class. This is controller class, and this is UI page. This is UI page. Are you guys clear with our approaches? Are you guys clear with our approaches now? Now I want to give you one assignment. Now I want to give you one assignment. So based on this knowledge, can you develop this assignment? Develop Spring Boot web application to display multiple books in a table format. In a table format. Currently, how many books are displaying here? Currently, how many books data is displaying here? One book data is displaying. Now I want you to develop a application which will display a table. I want a table. Whenever I send a request to your application should send me the data in a table format, should display the data in a table format like this. ID, book ID. I mean to say ID means book ID, name and price. ID, name and price. I want you to develop one application to display data like this. ID, name and price. 101. 101. Name is a spring. Name is a spring. Price is some $450 or something like this. Similarly, 102. 102 Hibernate 350. 350. 103. 103 DevOps 550. I want you to display a table data like this. Develop a boot application to display books data in table format. This is assignment for you guys. Assignment. Develop boot application, boot web application, boot web app to display books data in table format. Yes, proper table alignments also you need to do. Books data should come from controller. Books data should come from controller. It is not a hard-coded table in the JSP. Books data should come from controller. Now you see in our website, if you go to AhokIT website, if you go to training schedule, data coming in the table format or not? When you click on training schedules, data is coming in the table format or not from the back end? From the back end, data coming to the front end data displaying in the table format. So similarly, I want you people to develop a application and I want you to display the table data, books data in the table format like this. Understood? ID, name and price. I want you to develop one application. I want you to develop one application like this. Assignment. Develop a boot web application to display books data in table format. Books data should come from controller. Books data should come from controller. Are you clear with this? Can you do it today? Can you do it today? Which approach we need to follow for that? Approach 1, approach 2 or approach 3? Which approach we need to follow to develop this requirement? Approach 3, approach 2. 1 or 2, not 3. 3 will give you JSON directly, right? 3 will give you data. I want to display in the table format. Either 1 or 2, not 3. Either 1 or 2. Why 1 or 2? Why not 3? I told you my data should come in the table format. I told you my data should come in the table format. Okay. That means UI is required, right? When you go for approach 3, UI will not be available. But my requirement is UI. A page should come, a web page should come, response should display in the table format. Okay, approach 1 or approach 2, anything you can use. In the controller currently, I am returning, if you see book controller, currently how many objects I am storing in the model, how many objects I'm sending from controller to UI? 1. But in this example, what you need to do? One object you need to send or more objects you need to send? We need to send a list of objects. We need to send a list of objects. Okay, so currently I'm taking one object. Now you need to send 3 objects. You need to send 3 objects. Got it, guys? Currently I'm sending 1 object. Now you need to send 3 objects. That's the difference. List you have to send. That list you have to iterate in the web page. So that's up to you. How you want to do it, that's up to you. So I want you to complete that assignment today. Practice it. I'm going to upload the class notes to the portal, guys, so that you can have a reference of what I have developed today. Where is our 19 SBMS? Web MVC. Some people joined only for RESTful services. For them also, I'm uploading these notes. Yeah, guys, check it. Are you able to access latest notes, today's notes? Are you able to access today's notes? Can you check it, guys? If you click on download, yeah, latest notes is available. I have given the today's code also so that you can understand how to develop the application using 3 approaches. How to send the object data from controller to UI. Can you do it? Can you do it? Yes. Guys, so tomorrow there is no class for us. So tomorrow I am having some work. So I can't take the session tomorrow. So today you guys complete this assignment. For tomorrow, I will send one more assignment in the Telegram. We have our next class on Saturday. We have our next class on Saturday. Is it okay? Okay, sir. So tomorrow I'm not going to take the session due to my personal work. We have our next class on Saturday. Right. So today you guys work on this assignment and I will send one more assignment for you people for tomorrow in the Telegram so that we'll meet on Saturday. Thank you. Thank you, guys.